Hello AP Calculus class. We're going to be going over today the summer homework, and I'd like you to watch this if you had any troubles or questions with the solutions or the answers, and hopefully this helps you as a way to refresh your memories with what we were doing last year in pre-calculus. So first thing we're going to work on is this video will probably just go through the first 2 pages, but we're going to work on simplifying these problems first. So for A, to simplify this fraction, first take out the greatest common factor in the numerator, so that would be an x, and then you'd have x squared minus 9, and in the bottom we factor the denominator, so we're going to have x minus 3, x minus 4, and I've still got a little bit of factoring to do with the numerator, so I got difference of squares. So now I can cancel out what's common to both, and I have simplified that fraction. The next one, part B, we want to do again factor the top, so we're going to have x minus 4, x plus 2. In the bottom I've got to take out the greatest common factor, and I'll have x squared left over plus x minus 2. So I've got to factor the denominator one more time. And in some of these problems, I just want to give you a hint. We're trying to get the math to work out. So as a hint, if you factor the numerator, and you notice that, in a lot of the problems that we work on, the terms, if you're looking for what could be a possible factor, look for, certain factors to match up, and that might be a hint. So we get that cancellation to occur. It doesn't always happen, but, as far as like a hint, when we're trying to show that you're doing factoring, a lot of times the numerator and denominator will have common factors. So if you're kind of looking for a little hint, sometimes look at the numerator factors and see if they could possibly work out to be factors in the denominator. Okay, so A and B are done. So part C is, in order to factor this complicated, fraction, what we should do is add the fraction to the numerator. So the common denominator for both will be 5x. So I'm going to just modify the numerator of both. I'm modifying that numerator and that numerator. So that'll be an x there. And I'm going to do the same thing in the bottom. I'm going to combine, I'm going to make it have the same denominator. So that the common denominator is 25x squared for both. So I'm just trying to add these fractions in the numerator and denominator. So this numerator will change to a 25, and the other numerator will change to an x squared. So now when I put everything together, I basically have 5 minus x over 5x, and in the bottom I have 25 minus x squared when I add those fractions over 25x squared. Now if you take a close look, you'll notice that that 5x has something in common with this denominator here, and I can rewrite them because I have 5 minus x over 1. I'm going to cancel that out with a 5x in the denominator of the denominator term. And I have another thing I can do, I can notice the numerator here and the numerator here have something in common. So I'm going to rewrite the numerator and the denominator term as being 5 plus x, 5 minus x, because I recognize that it's a difference of squares, all over 5x. And now what I'm going to get is this term is going to cancel with that term. So I basically have 1 over 1 divided by 5 plus x over 5x. So in other words, this is equal to 1 over 5 plus x over 5x, which can be written as 5x over 5 plus x. So that would be my final simplified answer. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to just shrink these solutions so I can look at them later, and I'm going to work on the last solution. So hopefully I can shrink them, and I can work on the last one. Oops. So on the last one, we've got to simplify this. I'm just going to rewrite it. I don't like negative exponents, so I'm going to rewrite this as 9 minus 1 over x squared over 3 minus 1 over x. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try a little trick here. I notice that this is a perfect square and this is a perfect square. So I've got difference of perfect squares. And there are going to be other ways that you guys in class will say that you try to do this. So I'm going to rewrite the numerator as a difference of squares, 3 plus 1 over x, and 3 minus 1 over x. And if you notice, I have that same term in the bottom, and that makes this problem super easy. They cancel, and my answer is 3 plus 1 over x. Now some of you guys may have combined this to have put everything over x, so you would have had 3x minus or plus 1 as your final answer, or you could have had it as this. So that's the end of the first problem. Now let's move on to rationalizing. For AP Calc, we just want you to be aware of using the conjugate to rationalize a two-term denominator. So for example, in the first one, we would like to see that you can take this fraction and to multiply it by its conjugate, and that you can manage doing the foiling with the multiplication. So in the bottom, you should notice I've chosen the conjugate, but I've got to multiply top and bottom by what the conjugate, the denominator, is, so that because essentially this quantity here is only equal to 1, so I'm not changing the value of the first fraction I started with. So in my numerator, I'm going to have 2 times root 3 minus root 2, but in the denominator, because of foiling, or multiplying a binomial by a binomial, or conjugates, when they multiply, the outer and inner terms cancel. So root 3 times root 3 is going to give you 3. The inner and the outer is going to make, well, the inner will make positive root 6, the outer will make negative root 6, and the last times the last will be negative 2. So the final answer for this is going to be 2 times root 3 minus root 2 all over 1, because these two terms cancel. So that would be your final answer for part A. For part B, you're again going to do conjugate multiplication of the top and the bottom. So I'm going to have 4 times root 5, but the bottom will be, the first times the first will be 1. The outer and the inner will cancel, so I'm getting minus 5 when I multiply the last by the last. And that's going to give me 4 times 1 plus root 5 over negative 4. Final answer, negative 1, because the 4 and the negative 4 cancel, times 1 plus root 5, or your answer could be negative 1 minus root 5. So that is the first page. It took about 10 minutes. I'm going to just do this one page at a time, so the next posting will be for page 2. Hope this helps, and I'll be posting the second page of the solutions shortly. Thank you, and we'll talk later.